Welcome, friends, and thank you again for joining me for a little tour of this journal that I just finished. I wanted to go over it real quickly before we do a run-through, just to point out some of the differences between other journals that I've done. The first big difference is that the spine, the front, and the back are all one continual piece of fabric, any kind of fabric. This happens to be an old coffee bean sack that I got from a local roaster, which if you have a coffee roaster in your area, go by and find out what they do with their old bags. It's great material. When you use fabric, you do get a very soft cover. And that's fine if you want it soft, but I wanted a little more stiffening. So what I did on the inside of both the front and the back, I glued and then stitched fabric or paper that then gives a little more substance to part of the front. With that substance, I was able then to glue a little more on the front. This is an old sequin, the flap of a 1940s woman's handbag, which adds some interest. And also the stitching. Remember, I love stitching. You can make it look rugged, you can make it look precise. It just adds another dimension to your work. That was the first big difference. And really the only difference, because all the techniques that I normally do are in this book. But look at these pages. These are leftovers. These are torn envelopes. These are the packaging you get on the inside of something you ordered from Amazon. The grocery sack. A lot of this is grocery sack. And you do your same techniques, including collage. This, for example, is a wine label that I happened to tear off. So the whole point of this one is I wanted to use up what normally we discard because we don't think it's good enough, we don't think it's big enough. But every piece you have is good enough and big enough. This, you know, when you buy a shirt or a pair of pants, you get those hard cardboard tags attached to them. This works great, so use it all up. Don't throw it away. One of the last things I want to show you before we do a little run through of the whole thing is this book. I have on the back here, this is kind of a medium stiff cardboard. One of those sacks, I think I bought a cookie in it, and I glued it on, stamped on it, inked on it, whatever you want to do, and it's a great surprise packet. In this case, I happen to have an old Portuguese military, I don't know if you'd call them a journal, it's all the record of this person's service in the Portuguese army in World War II. I left a lot of blank pages so that whoever wants to can now have their own journal within a journal. Here's the back where I glued a piece of rice paper with old Japanese writing on it. On the spine, I did the same thing that I often do. Natural elements, that's wood, that's a pine cone end, wrapped it in jute, put a little glue right along here, and then sewed it to the inside of the spine. When I sew, I usually go and sew into a blank area like this between signatures. So it's on there secure enough, but there's still enough give in the whole thing to be able to not worry about it breaking off. With that said, let's take a tour of the pages that we normally would throw into the garbage.